Let's talk about periods. So I have all of my period product samples here, and I am ready to answer all of your questions about periods. So if this is your first time on this channel, my name is Janelle. I am a certified sex educator and I am a health teacher. And I am super excited to help you figure out what's going on in terms of your period and to answer all of your questions. So I have a YouTube short about how to put on a pad, and on that short there are tons of questions there in the comments. So what I've done is I've gone through and taken screenshots and organized it, and I'm just going to go through those common questions that I saw in those comments and answer them for you. So if there's something that I don't quite fully answer or something that I didn't bring up at all and you're wondering, drop it in the comments. I will try to answer it as best as I can. Okay, so let's dive in. Now, I think one of the first questions that we're probably wondering is, all about like, is this normal? What's typical? Am I okay? All of these different things, because this is something that has not happened to you before, and then bam, you start having this regular bleeding where you now have to manage it. So let's look at questions related to that. So the first one is it normal to have a light flow for your first period? Yes, that is normal. And I will say that it is one of those things that can start light, and maybe sometimes they're light, sometimes they're heavier. The thing that still it blows my mind about periods after having a period for multiple decades is that I still sometimes I don't even know for myself what is typical. So sometimes maybe there's some spotting, which would be a little bit of blood, or sometimes there's really heavy, and it's just going to take some time. Hopefully your body does get into a routine so you can have some predictability, but you may go through and have, different irregular things or different irregular flows, or your body may get into a system that has a little, so what to predict. So hopefully for your sake, I hope it is a little bit more predictable. I feel like mine is never that predictable, but hopefully yours will be. Okay, this is now a question about moving on from the idea of like, hey, what's normal flow. It's a question about what pad I was using in that YouTube short. So this is the brand. It is Always Flex Foam. This is a brand new box, so I'm actually going to open it and show you. Now, I am such a big fan of the Flex Foam. Now, this is a pure cotton one. I haven't done all the research, but this says it's free of dyes, fragrance, and chlorine bleaching. So definitely do a little bit of research to find out which one's going to be the healthiest in terms of toxins. But in terms of, just let me open this. Apparently I can't open this very cleanly. So I have to say that as I first found Flex Foam, like, I don't know, just a few years ago, and the first time I used it, it absolutely changed my life. I know that sounds a little bit wild, but the technology of this is unreal. And so the Flex Foam, it is, to me, it's more comfortable, it's softer, it sits closer to the skin. I feel like it absorbs better than the old school pads. I may have an older school. I got my whole box here of sex ed stuff. That's also a Flex. I think I might actually only have the Flex ones. But if you are able to compare the Flex Foam versus like a standard pad, there is a significant difference. And this is a non pure cotton, and this is a pure cotton, and even this feels pretty similar. I don't know about how well or the difference between the work, but it feels similar. So hopefully this is a safer option in terms of toxins, and hopefully it has the same effectiveness. So definitely, if you are going for a one-time use pad, I highly recommend the Flex Foam in terms of how well it absorbs. Now, if you are wanting to go not single-use pads, there are reusable pads, and this is a reusable pad. I have not used a reusable pad because I have a very heavy flow, but you can see the difference in size, and I'm sure there's a lot of different sizes of this, but basically this here absorbs the blood and discharge, and then you would just take it off and throw it in the washing machine and wash it like period underwear. But this, I'll be honest, this to me does not feel like it would be enough coverage. Now I do have some period underwear here. So this is Thinks for All. I have two different Thinks here. This is the regular Thinks, and this is the Thinks for All. And I'm just kind of comparing the difference in coverage. So you can see this, and this is a brand new pair. You can see the size of the pad versus reusable. And this is just a random reusable one I got off the internet. I'm sure there's other ones that have better coverage, but you can see the difference in the coverage size and how much wider this goes. This is the back and this is the front. So, okay, next question. That was a little bit of a tangent. Next question. Let's see. Oh, here's someone else just talking about the Flex Foam. Those pads are so comfy and amazing. Yes, I agree. I'm telling you, when I first tried Flex Foam, I was amazed. It totally changed my whole relationship with periods, along with when I found out what a period cup is. Okay, let's see. Here's another question. This, I believe, is about just like general wear. Okay. What's the back part and the front part of a pad? That's what this question was about. Is there a right measurement length when you put the pad on the front? Now, I think that this is a lot of trial and error. So the longer part, the wider, longer part is the back. This is a size 4, which the size is about the flow. So this is an overnight with wings, with the flex wings. So this is a one designed to hold a lot of blood. So this, I wish I had some sort of a hack for you to tell you exactly where to position this on the underwear. I'll use these period underwear. But it's trial and error, I feel like, because sometimes you put it on and it ends up being too far down, and then it's not covering enough in the front, and then sometimes you go too far in the front and it's not covering in the back, and sometimes it depends on what activity you're doing, like if you're sitting down, if you're moving, so it really is trial and error. Unfortunately, I would say though that if you could, if when you're standing up, if this is like covering your or coming up towards your pubic bone so that your whole vulva is covered and beyond, that's probably what you want it to be. So like if you were sitting down, you want it like a little bit up in the front and then further in the back. Sorry, that's not very technical. I wish I had a diagram or some sort of an anatomical model to show you, but unfortunately it is a bit of trial and error, but you do want the longer portion in the back. Other questions, yes, some other questions relate to that too. Okay, this person said, my daughter complains, oh, but where does the wider part go? Because my daughter complains that it's more of a mess in the front than the back. So again, it's hard with the positioning, but you can compare. This is why I'm a big fan of the period underwear, which wasn't really what the question is about, but we'll go to that conversation. Because if I was to take this off, I'm going to take this off and we're going to just put this over, and we can see how, especially with this Thinks design, how you get wider coverage, especially on the back here. You can see the difference between the coverage on the period underwear versus the pad. And if I was a teenager again, I would get period underwear from the beginning, because the coverage, like it's just way easier to manage. Now, if you have a really, really heavy flow, you probably can't get away with just wearing period underwear, but you could couple it with a tampon or a period cup, which a period cup plus period underwear, that's my go-to combination. So unfortunately, it's so much, managing your period is so much trial and error. I feel like even as someone who's almost 40, had 2 kids, I still don't get it right every time and end up having leaking and stuff, which just seems wild that it's still happening. But that's the reality. I just have realized that the older I get, the less I care or am bothered if there's a stain or something like that. And it's not necessarily embarrassment. It's just annoying that I have to, figure it out. Okay. All right, let's look at the next set of questions. The next set of questions were really about just period products, specifically pads not fitting well and not being comfortable, which I can empathize with so much. And that's why I'm telling you, when I used Flex Foam for the first time, that it actually like shifted my whole relationship with my period, because those old school pads are so uncomfortable. And here's some of the things. Is it supposed to feel so uncomfortable? No, we don't want things to be that uncomfortable, but I will be honest that I think that the non-foam pads, I do think they still are really uncomfortable. And it's kind of wild to me that these companies are not innovating enough with it. So that's why the Flex Foam really did change my whole relationship with my period. So no, it shouldn't. I don't want you to be in discomfort, and that's why I highly recommend the Flex Foam. I feel like it is so much more comfortable. Or if you're willing to try the period underwear, these are going to be so much more comfortable than wearing a pad, because it is this built in. And I'm sure that different period underwears, like at different price points, are going to fit differently. But this is the Thinx for All. So this is the Thinx's more budget friendly collection, and it is still quite comfortable as long as you get the correct size. I did have a pair that was a size too small and it was really uncomfortable, but but just because it wasn't actually the pad part of it, it just was uncomfortable because it was too tight for me. But now with the right sizing, it's very comfortable. So no, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. Okay, when I walk around, it makes noise and it's so annoying. And again, I think that's one of those things that is normal. Normal in the sense that I think that happens to a lot of people, especially those non-flex foam pads. I do think that they can make noise. And again, try the flex foam or try some period underwear. I'll put links below to all of it. Here's another one. I just started my period and it feels like wearing a nappy or a diaper. And yes, I totally agree. And that, again, I'm going to keep talking about it. But that is why when I used the Flex Foam, it was like mind-blowing to me, because it did not feel like wearing a diaper like those other pads feel like. The whatever, I don't even know if there's a technical, whatever. The non-foam pads, they do feel like wearing a diaper. I'm going to be totally honest with you, unfortunately. I use pads and it never stays in place. It always slips and sides, ruining my underwear as a result. Any advice that doesn't involve using tampons? Okay, I'm not a big tampon person either, so I can totally empathize with wanting a non-tampon option. And so one of the things is something with wings. Something with wings definitely helps. You put this around, the side, the bottom part of the underwear. The wings are going to help things stay in place for sure. That's a big benefit. But again, you're gonna, as I'm sure I'll say more times in this video, period underwear keeps everything in place if they are the correct fit, right? If you have some that are too small, I did try the other brand. What is the other brand? Knix, Knix, and theirs to me are too small. Like the cut is too small, so I find that it doesn't offer great coverage. That might have been the cut of the underwear. Maybe they have others that are more full coverage, but I just did not really like the fit at all. The Thinx, especially these higher waisted ones, I feel like they stay very secure. They don't move around, and you're going to have that more consistent coverage. Because yes, you gotta have consistent coverage that you can count on. Okay, next set of questions. Let's look. These are just kind of some random questions, so I'm just going to read them. Is it wrong to wear the pants as you put the pad on? So in that video, I was holding the underwear, And so this is a great question. No, it's definitely not wrong at all. Absolutely. You can have your pants and underwear on and, be sitting in the toilet or somewhere else, and you can put the pad on while you are wearing the underwear. 100%. Okay. How long do wing pads stay on for? Because I'm starting my period. Okay. So this is going to be largely dependent on your flow and how often you feel like you need to change it. I'm gonna see in here though if there is like there used to be booklets in boxes that we would get with pads. I'm not seeing that here. They don't do that anymore. Okay, so let's see. Oh, scan for more info. Let's see what the pads officially say. I would say change them or check them, every 3 hours. You'll start to figure out. I'm going to scan this box and I'm going to see what this box says. Let's see. The more often you change it, the less risk you have of staining. And let's see. Tips and advice. I thought it would kind of say right there. Okay. That's interesting. They really don't say, I guess maybe they don't want to give you a specific time. I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't tell you, the pad doesn't tell you. So this says, this is for overnight. So these ones you could definitely wear like 8 hours if it's overnight. But I would say throughout the day, change it, every 3-4 hours, just to make sure that it doesn't get too full and you can, you don't have leaks. Now, maybe if you are at the lighter end or of your period, you can find out, you can find a time amount that works for you that is going to allow you to, not get those stains. Okay. Why do I always get stained with the pad? This is the question us period havers are always asking. The reality, this is maybe not, not the most inspiring answer, but and maybe like this is TMI, I don't know. But in truth, even as a 36-year-old, I sometimes still get stains, which is so every time I'm like, really, Janelle, like you've been having your period for how long? How is this happening? So it's not, I wish I had a hack and I could say, hey, do this and you're never going to have a period stain. But sadly, that's has yet to be my reality. So I would say some reasons why maybe though maybe you're having a period stain if you are not changing the pad often enough. If you are maybe getting the wrong size, you can see here in the box, you can see here there's different sizes. So maybe you're using one that's too small and you're having a larger flow and you need a bigger one. That could be a reason for sure. Yeah, it could be the quality of the pad for sure. That could be, I'm just reading here. This says up to 12 hours, 0 leaks. So maybe they're saying you can wear the overnight one for 12 hours at night. But I am still a little bit intrigued why they don't give a timeline for how long to wear. Oh, there's little directions there. Okay, so I would change it more often, get a higher quality pad like the Flex Foam. I definitely feel like I have less leaking with Flex Foam versus a regular pad, or try the period underwear and make sure the sizing is correct. Okay, let's see. I don't know when I'll get my period. Do you think it's a good idea to wear a pad even if you don't have your period yet? So because pads are not reusable, just from my budget conscious mind and landfill mind, I would say I wouldn't wear a pad unless I am actually on my period, but you could definitely get period underwear and wear them as regular underwear. and you would then be prepared and ready to go in the event that you unknowingly started your period or got your period. So definitely, I think wearing period underwear is a super great way to make sure that you have your period, you have your period protection. So that's what I would do for sure. Okay, some tips about making it more manageable. So here's a question. I needed this because I made a period emergency kit. Okay, this one isn't actually a question. It just reminded me of a great idea. That's a great idea to make an emergency kit. So let's talk about emergency kits. Like what should you put in your emergency kit? Now, you definitely are going to want period products. So whether that be tampons, all right, we can talk about tampons in a second, or pads, or having clean period underwear ready to go. Whatever your options you're going to have, or whatever option you want to use, you want to have that in your period emergency kit. Now, for your period emergency kit, you could do like a little, you could do like a little pouch like this or something smaller like this, just for pads and tampons and things like that. If you want just emergency products, if you want like a full emergency kit, and if you're at school and you get your period and there's stains or something like that and you need something, then your emergency kit could be a little bit more robust. Like you could definitely have fresh underwear in there. You can have all the products, whether it be a tampon, a pad, a period cup, whatever it is that you want and are going to use. You also could, if you have a locker, you could throw in like some leggings, black leggings, or black sweatpants, or dark color sweatpants if you're worried about leaking, those things like that. And of course, you always, if you have your sweater, you can always wrap it around your waist and use that as a way to cover any potential stains. We've all done that before. That's always an easy hack. And yeah, so your period emergency kit, you can kind of make it what you want it to be. Now, yeah, if I had a locker, I would probably want to make sure there's some extra clothes, make sure I have all my period products so that I am ready to go. Maybe even like an extra little plastic bag, maybe like a Target bag, or even like a doggy bag to, if there's something that's really stained and you just want to throw it away, you can just throw it away. Or if it's maybe some clothes or something and you want to just take it home and wash it, you can do that. Now, especially like a pair of pants or something like that, I would just take that home and wash it. I wouldn't be one to throw that away. But if it's a pair of underwear and you're not attached to it and it's really stained, then you could throw that away if you want. Whatever works for you. Okay, I just got my first period. Do you have any tips? So what tips do I have? First thing I would say, number one tip is to actually understand what's going on with your body. So this is something that I feel I'm embarrassed that it took me so long to actually understand what was happening with my body. Like I just knew that, oh, people had periods and you bled, but I didn't really get what was going on with your body. So I think that like my first tip is to actually know what's happening. So here, let's look at this little book, Vaginas and Periods 101. And this is a book I read with my kids. My kids are 6 and 3, and they love looking at this book because they love just learning about bodies. So specifically, we're going to look at the menstrual cycle here. So we want to learn about the different phases of the menstrual cycle. So here we have phase 1. And in this phase, what's happening is the egg is preparing. So the egg is in the ovary. So, well, let me step back. So your menstrual cycle is basically this continuous cycle that your body is going through in preparation for pregnancy, to be pregnant. Okay, so it's preparing to be pregnant, it's working to be pregnant, and then if it's not pregnant, it starts the cycle over, and you just go through this continual cycle. And that's why it's called a cycle, because you're doing this over and over and over again. So this first part of the cycle is that the ovary is beginning to prepare to mature that egg, and you have two ovaries. All right. So what happens is the egg matures, and as it's maturing here, you also have the uterine lining is building up so that it can nourish a pregnancy if a fertilized egg implants into the uterine lining. So what happens? The egg is growing or maturing, not growing, it's maturing. Okay, once the egg is mature, it pops out. It pops out of the ovary and then it travels. You can see the little egg there, travels in the fallopian tube towards the uterus. So this is the ovulation phase. So there's no bleeding. There's no bleeding during this phase or this phase, because what is going to bleed is this uterine lining. Okay, so the uterine lining is still, it's growing nicely. It's growing and it's flourishing because this egg is being released in preparation for it to be fertilized and for it to become a pregnancy. So as the egg is released, if it's not fertilized, then it's gonna come into the uterus. So this ovulation phase is just the journey of the egg. Okay, now in this next phase, you see the uterine lining is thick and juicy and it's ready to support a pregnancy if this egg was fertilized. So if the egg doesn't fertilize, then this next phase is the uterine lining shedding. It's shedding and going into, and that is what's coming out as blood. So it's tissue from the uterine lining, because the uterus, there's no pregnancy, so it doesn't need to be all built up and juicy and enriched to support a pregnancy. So the blood so it sheds, and that's what comes out in your as a period. And then it goes back to the beginning. After it sheds, it starts to build back up, and the egg is on this side, and the egg starts to mature, and you go through the cycle again and again. So that's my first tip. My first tip is like, just understand what's actually going on in your body. So this is so important because also it shows us our bodies are incredible. Your body is doing this amazing thing. And when you reach puberty, it is now shifting and changing, and it goes through this incredible cycle continuously. You don't even have to tell your body to do it. It just does it. So isn't that amazing? You don't even have control over it. Well, sometimes we wish we had a little more control over it. But so that is my first tip, is actually understand what's happening in your body so that you can, figure out, just because I just think the more you know what's going on in your body, the more confident you are in your body, the more secure you are, the more empowered you are. So other tips I have kind of goes back to that emergency kit. Have an emergency kit ready. Take some time to actually understand how these different products work, learning some tips and tricks. Now, a pad and period underwear is the easiest way, is the easiest first way to manage your period. If the more comfortable you get, you can do something like have a tampon. So this is a tampon, and you push this, you put the tampon inside your, I do have a little model here. It's not maybe the most accurate, but you'll get the idea. So this is the vaginal opening. So you put it in here, and then once it's in, you hold this part and you push. And when you push it out, it will look like this. You see that? And it will sit inside your vagina, and the string will hold here. So then when you're ready, you just pull it out. So a really important tip that, unfortunately, I did not really explicitly understand this until just a few years ago, watching a TikTok, and it blew my mind. And so, you know what? I'm going to use this tape here. We're going to pretend this tape right here. We're going to pretend this is the vaginal opening. So if you put the tampon and it is in contact with the vaginal opening, that is going to be very irritating. It's going to be very irritating. So you need to make sure that when you are putting the tampon in, push it in so that this part where the tampon, right here where the tampon base is, this is where it sits like this, right? So we want to push to like this part be inside the vagina, holding this so you can easily pull it out. And then I'm sorry, I'm doing like all sorts of things. Push this. As you push it, this comes out like that. And then you can pull out the applicator. Trying to keep it all still together so I can use it for other demonstrations. Okay, I'll have to fix that, or I might just have to buy another one. But so you want this, you want it like this. You don't want it here. If you have it here, it's going to be very irritating and annoying. You want it all the way inside the vagina and just the string hanging out. That is a tip right there that's going to help you if you choose to use a tampon. And then the other thing is you can, as you get more comfortable, you can also try using a period cup. And a period cup, there are some different ways that you can put this in. But basically you fold it, you put it inside the vagina, and then once it's inside the vagina, it opens up, right? Because the vagina is not this, the vagina is flexible and the muscles will move and accommodate to hold this. And then this sits, I got to get a diagram. Hold on a second. Okay, let me look at all my diagrams, find the right one. Okay, so this is the body. So again, the tampon is here, sitting in the vaginal canal. Same thing with the scale is a bit different, but the period cup is going to sit here, and it's going to sit at the base, or it's going to sit at the cervix here. This will be better. It's going to sit at the cervix like this, so that, and it's going to collect the blood, and then this part though is actually inside. This is not sticking out. It's inside your vagina, and you have to reach in and pull it out. So that's why this is a little bit more of an advanced, product. And when you're ready for that, you can figure that out. But don't feel like you have to use anything if you don't want to, or until you're ready. Okay. Other tips. Have some adults that you can talk to, or if you have other, older siblings or cousins. I think it's really good if you can have someone to talk to, because they'll tell you, they can help you navigate these different things, because your body is going through all these changes, and sometimes, your body might be in pain, or you might be confused, and the more you have people to talk to, it can be very helpful. So definitely talk to some trusted people. Let's see. All right, the last well, okay, no, another, almost done. Okay, here's another question I got about, just got my period, can anyone help me or suggest me anything that would help with cramps? I'm experiencing cramps. So cramps are another not fun part of periods, and that is when your uterus is contracting, and it can be very painful, and it can be very uncomfortable, painful, and there's a range. Everyone experiences it differently, but when you have cramps, you're gonna figure, it's one of those things, again, that's a trial and error. But some things that might help is heat. I find sometimes, in the car, the heating, if you turn the car seat heater, what's it called, the seat heater, sometimes that type of heat can relieve some of the pressure. So maybe using a hot water bottle, or whatever kind of hot little device, warm device that you have, or a heating pad, or a hot bath, or maybe a hot shower with water specifically, on the spot that's giving you pain. Sometimes I feel like some pressure might feel better, like if you just kind of push on it. But this is all, everyone's different. Maybe you can take painkillers and pain relief, but again, so that's something to talk to your adult about, and that they'll help you navigate that. But also know that if it's so excruciatingly painful, it's really important to talk to a medical provider, because it might be a sign that something else is going on in your body, and we want to make sure that you're not just suffering, and that they can figure out what's going on. So, period cramps, that's another not always fun thing about periods. Okay, This was the number one. We're going to end with the number one question that I saw on this video, and it was all about how do I take out the pad without making a noise? Why are pads so loud? How, it's they're going on. How do I take it out with any noise? We need a tutorial on how to open a pad quietly. Why are they so loud? We all need to open them quietly in school. Um, the hardest part is to open it is the hardest part is to open the pad silently because you're embarrassed. Um, we all need, there's more. There's just and these also had so any questions like this. They had so many likes and responses. So this is definitely a common question or a common worry. And my advice, my advice here, and this is something that I wish I could have embodied much earlier in life, is to just accept that we have periods, because there's so much shame and embarrassment and stigma around periods. So we feel things like, oh, I need to hide that I'm on my period. And I felt so I don't have a trick for making it more quiet, but I do feel like if you can get to a point where you just feel comfortable and you're just like, you know what, I have my period, that's the way it is. If you, just carry a pad around or a tampon, or you just talk openly about it, or even maybe have a box of pads just sitting in your locker, the more confident and comfortable and secure you feel about the reality that you have a period, just like half of the population, then things like, it's so loud or things like that are going to matter less. And you're just going to feel so much better in general about having a period. It doesn't mean it's always going to be fun. Doesn't mean you're not going to get stains or have cramps, but it's just going to be, there's going to be a level of anxiety and stress that just leaves once you can get to the point of just accepting that, hey, I have a period, and that's life, and just make it a neutral thing rather than this, kind of a taboo thing. Okay, so I think that is most of the period questions, most if not all the period questions that I was able to find on that video. If you have other questions, drop it in the comments. And if you are a parent that is first just trying to navigate this with your kid, I have a free little, how to have the period talk with a workshop thing for you. You can grab that. And all right, so hit that like, go ahead and share it with a friend if you know they have some period questions. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks for hanging out in this video. Bye.